We'll start the meeting in a couple of minutes. We have some technical issues up front. Good evening and welcome. It is Wednesday, July 24th at 6:30. I call this meeting to order. Lisa, can you please call the roll?
Robert Downey.
Present.
Patty Coutray.
Present.
Tori Anderson.
Present.
Anna Marie Noor.
Present.
Carolyn Lopez.
Present.
Thank you. We now move on to item 1C, Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Dr. Scott to lead us in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dr. Scott. We now move on to item 1D, adoption of the agenda.
Yes, I would like to move that we adopt the agenda, removing item 7C and moving item 6D to an action item so I can recuse myself.
Okay, so 7D you want to become an action item for discussion? 6D?
6D.
And 7C, I thought you wanted pulled off.
That is pulled. 7C would be pulled.
So 7C is postponed and removed. Okay, and 7D is in action.
6D is.
6D is
6D.
an action item.
It's been a long day. Sorry. Okay, so with that motion, I will second it.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second.
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor.
Aye.
Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Coutray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. We now move on to item 2, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Lopeman.
Thank you, President Downey. MUSD welcomed 88 new educators for the 24-25 school year at the annual New Teacher Orientation. The excitement was contagious as our new teachers immersed themselves in a week-long professional development series covering important topics such as technology integration and cooperative learning strategies. This comprehensive training equipped our new staff with the skills and knowledge to ensure a successful start to the school year. Among the 88 new hires, we have teachers, counselors, speech and language pathologists, and other professional staff. Notably, 22 of the 88 positions are new positions, including 12 new teacher positions. Support staff members reconnected at the classified staff orientation last week. After convening for an all-staff welcome in the PAC at Maricopa High School, staff dispersed to a variety of training sessions specific to their roles. Sessions included gold standard customer service, introduction to Spalding training for paraprofessionals, and visitor aware system, among others. With this comprehensive training, we're confident that we have started the year off with a great set of trained classified staff. We want to extend our heartfelt thanks to our amazing sponsors, Exceptional Community Hospital, Chase Building Team, and Harrah's Ak-Chin for their generous support in making this year's Welcome Back to School celebration truly unforgettable. Nearly 1,300 employees and special guests filled the Harrah's Ak-Chin ballroom with spirit and enthusiasm, ready to kick off the new school year. Special shout out goes to our fantastic transportation team for arranging buses across the district, making sure everyone had a fun and easy ride to and from the event. As a token of our appreciation, each employee received a stylish MUSD branded Koozie Cooler tote and an Exceptional Community Hospital branded Cooling Sport towel. Thanks to everyone for making it a day to remember. And we are off to an extraordinary start. The first day of school was buzzing with energy as hallways and classrooms came alive. As I visited our schools, it was great to see parents and students bringing such excitement and positivity. Their enthusiasm has set the tone for what promises to be an outstanding year ahead. Here's a glimpse of our first day. It's instrumental. Good to close with smiling faces. That's my report, President Downey.
Thank you, Dr. Lopman. We now move on to item 3, Governing Board Members Report. Member Lopez.
Thank you, President Downey. I was able to attend part of the new teacher training and luncheon, and that was awesome to see our new staff and to see Dr. Lopman up there training was a new perspective I got to see of her. It was wonderful. And then we were able to be a part of the, what is it called? Is it a festivity? Is it a gathering? I'm not sure. Yesterday. A pep rally. I got goosebumps. That was the funnest thing I have ever done in a very, very long, since I was in high school. It was awesome. Just the energy of our entire district, seeing everybody so excited to go and teach and inspire our little ones was just absolutely amazing. And just a reminder, I know we don't have a whole lot of parents here, but if you're online watching, this will be on the internet forever. Please mind the speed limit, school zones, take a breath. Everybody I know is in a rush, wanted to get to their kid this week, next week. Just, if we could all just take a breath and watch out for those little ones, we all just need to do it. So, that's it.
Thank you. Member Noor.
Thanks, President Downey. I echo Member Lopez's comments about the pep rally yesterday. Just such a great event and such a fantastic opportunity to get everybody in one room together to celebrate back to school. And again, want to thank the Ak-Chin for allowing us to use their beautiful facility, because I don't think there's anywhere else we would all fit. And, but it was just tremendous, and I hope everyone had a great first day, and look forward to an awesome new school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Anderson.
Thank you, President Downey. So yesterday, obviously you've heard, was great. It was fantastic. But it brought me back to when we first started doing these giant district, first day of school. And, the first time when I was a teacher, it was in our old cafeteria at Maricopa High School that is now the band room. So that was a long time ago. And then to have it go from there to our PAC, where we used to all fit. So now we have to go over to the ballroom, and it was phenomenal to see all of those smiling faces and the energy that was in the room, knowing that our students were getting a first-class staff, from the maintenance crew to the bus drivers to the teachers to the principals to the secretaries. And thank you. So it was great to be included yesterday, and all over the years that I've been able to see that first day of staff coming back. I'm truly blessed. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Vice President Curte.
Thank you, President Downey. Ditto, ditto, ditto. So let's not waste time. What was really nice about yesterday's pep rally is the opportunity that all the staff members got to share moments of excellence that they had in their classroom last year, that they watched, they experienced or observed with other staff members, and their commitment to continue that and to push themselves further for this year. That is an awesome thing to actually put out there in the universe, as Dr. Lotman said, because if you put it out there, you're going to make it happen and you're going to do your best. So I was able to attend that, and the new teacher lunch, and meeting the new teachers is always exciting. And then a shout out and a thank you to both the high schools. They allowed me to come and volunteer for their freshman check-in. So I got to experience answering a lot of questions from parents, ID photos. So thank you for allowing me to be on campus and to meet some of the new staff, some of the old staff, and the families coming in. And then I was able to, for my job, for Boys and Girls Club, I was at Meet the Teacher Night at MES, so thank you, Dr. Robinson. And it was great to see some of these families, if there are families out there looking for affordable, impactful programs for before and after school. The Boys and Girls Club partner with MUSD. And so I highly recommend that you can get the information and the registration link from your school principal, and they can help you walk through it, and then you can contact us, and we can. The little ones probably already have a waiting list, but the older kids usually have an opening. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to cut mine short because I'll say ditto, ditto, ditto. I did the luncheon, did the pep rally yesterday. Really, it was excellent. Really well organized. A lot of passion, a lot of energy. It was exciting. So I'll leave it there. Lisa, I don't believe we have any call to the public, so I will skip item 4. I will now move on to item 5, work study, specifically 5A, information and discussion of the MUSD 2024-2029 strategic plan. Dr. Lotman.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. We are at a critical stage. We're launching our new strategic plan, having spent the last year reflecting and refining and visioning. We are going to be presenting this strategic plan certainly tonight for the first work study, and then looking for adoption next at our next board meeting. This picture here represents the organic processes that we went through truly for 12 months. We hire an outside firm so that they're objective and professional, and help us navigate and come to consensus about our priorities and exactly what our blocks and obstacles might be on our way to higher heights over the next 3 to 5 years. And that's really how we navigate this, is in 3 to 5 years. So on this, you can see things that will look familiar to you, because we recognize that the goals that we have now are useful and impactful. So those goals will continue to drive the work that we do. But you'll also see some snippets on here of some of the actual projects or items that we will emphasize, things that we need to address to continue to develop a sense of community and family along the way. You'll see references to PLCs, the way we collaborate, the way we support each other. So the technical aspects are just as important as the personal aspects. And certainly the process of developing and refining a strategic plan, while it's for our organization, it's highly personal, because everyone's ideas are represented in this process. And while I have a handful of slides tonight, I have about a 40-page document that is so rich with content and intention that it will help us refine our action steps along the way. So this just represents that 12 months of organic collaboration that we had. I don't know what I'm supposed to point this at. There we go. So this is a reminder of what our goals are. Graduation, access and equity, organizational culture, and community pride. That's the essence of the 4. And then one of our advancements is to condense this into a readable form that you do not need a notebook or tabs or anything. So this is basically the strategic plan. You'll see at the top, those are the essence of the 4 goals. Each goal has 3 broad high-yield strategies, so I'll just circle one. You can see under our graduation goal, we are maximizing Tier 1 instruction. So that is our high-yield strategy. Then beneath that, you'll see the other 2 strategies associated with that goal. And if you look back up at goal 2 on the top blue, you'll see below that there are 3 strategies that are very high-yield strategies. And then so on across the top and then beneath. And then underneath or in the box next to the strategy, where that arrow is pointing, those are the outcomes that we will incrementally work towards over 3 to 5 years. So you'll see things like having all of our, associated with the Tier 1 instruction, having our students at or above grade level, having our freshmen on track, having scholarships, and having a 95% graduation rate. Then in each box, those are the outcomes that we expect to achieve with those strategies. What is not detailed on here and what keeps it to a one-pager is all the action steps. My action steps are different than Mr. Beckett's, whose are different than Mr. Harmon's, who are different than Dr. Scott, who are different than Ms. Pastor. And then there's all the principals. Theirs will be specific to their departments and their schools, their grade levels. Will they be aligned? Absolutely. But there's a lot of different pieces and parts that are beneath that one high-yield strategy to achieve that handful of outcomes that you'll see in each box. And those are fluid, so we'll write them in pencil. Then finally, I want to call your attention to an element that we're adding, which is the notion of a gold standard. And a gold standard is a way to capture industry standards, results, customer satisfaction, and we know customers are internal and external, partnerships, because we can't do it alone, and then finally an all means all attitude and expectation. So you'll see 10 or 11 gold standards throughout the document, and we're working to define what the gold standard is under each of those. And so that is our one page. Oh, there we go. That's the gold standard right there. I memorized it. And those are the programs that have a gold standard associated. We know that there are, as we look externally and compare ourselves internally, that's how we're going to define that. And then finally, everything still starts and ends with our why. Again, another organically developed, beautifully imperfect vision that we know will work, will keep us focused on what matters most, keeping the main thing the main thing. So with that, that's the refresh of our strategic plan. If there's anything I can answer, I'd be happy to.
I have one question.
Yes.
So when we say, what is Tier 1? What does that mean when it says Tier 1, 100% at or above grade level? Is that including our special need?
Absolutely. Tier 1 instruction is when we think of tiers, we think of a kind of a triangle. The bottom tier is everybody. What does everybody get? Everybody gets grade level, quality first instruction, and maximizing how well we deliver and support those efforts across the board. For our special needs students, how are we making sure they have access to that grade level curriculum? Does that mean they need additional supports with with technology or with other features? Do they need more time? What will help them access the curriculum? Is scheduling a piece of that? Sometimes we find kids may not have access to that grade level curriculum because that might be during something else. So when there is a pullout or another support, so it's prioritizing every kid having access to grade level curriculum and making sure that delivery is the best it can possibly be.
Thank you.
Great question. What else?
So I have a question. So I know that this strategic plan you've been working on for a year, and I know the previous one was from 5 years ago. So it was great to see everything we've accomplished. But my question is, who participated in this new structure with this new updated? What groups? Because I know the first time 5 years ago we had, board members, city people, principals, teachers, transportation. So I'm just, who made up? Because I know I did not participate in this year. So who made up the groups that helped update this?
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, we invited everyone, board members, city folks, agencies, our SROs. We open it up wide for those first couple meetings. And then we shrink the group a little bit and did most of the work with our leadership groups over the course of the year so that we could continue to take those ideas, that vision that is, so powerful. How do we operationalize that? When you look at the why, when you look at things that are on the why, there's emotion and expectation and hope behind them, but they need to be operationalized into a playbook. And so we worked with our leaders. I think everybody in here can raise their hand and say, yeah, we were there. We did meetings after school from like 4 to 6, a couple of those. And then we did some meetings, on our Tuesdays, did some refinements there. And then we did a final set of refinements in June. So this went June 23 to June 24. But the first part was very inclusive and diverse.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for surfacing that. I left that part out.
Dr. Lotman, you also had input from students as well, didn't you?
We did.
Yes.
And you know what? A portrait of the graduate is a piece of this as well. And that's actually one, I want to call that out. That's on our goal to elevate student voice, portrait of a graduate. That's the first high yield strategy under access and equity. And so there's like indirect inclusion from all of those groups 2 years ago. We had hundreds of people, including students and city, and contribute to that portrait of a graduate. So there's handprints and fingerprints all over this from people around the city.
Well, I don't have a question. I just want to thank you and everybody who worked on this tirelessly in your extra time to create what I think is an amazing plan for the next 5 years. And what we've achieved in the last 5 years is incredible. And I'm really excited to see the achievements that are going to come out of this new and improved version. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to recognize all the people that contributed. I thought it was actually later. I think I went to 2 sessions early on. I thought they went to 7:30, and there was probably, I'm guessing, like 100 people in this extended area. So obviously a lot of people there. It was a lot of effort. I want to thank everybody that participated and contributed, and I recognize how good a job everybody's done. So thank you. We now move on to item 5B, information discussion on the bond expenditure plan and ballot language. Mr. Harmon.
Thank you. Good evening, President Downey, members of the governing board, and Dr. The purpose of this presentation is to share information regarding our potential expenditure plan for the special bond election. This presentation aligns with all 4 goals of the MUSD strategic plan. The voter information pamphlet includes a bond purpose statement. The purpose is to address rapid enrollment growth in Maricopa. The proposed $70 million bond will supplement state funding for school construction and expansion over the next several years, specifically constructing 2 new schools serving students between kindergarten and 8th grade, expanding high school facilities for career and technical education, college prep, and workforce development, adding classroom space at existing schools. Another key objective in calling this bond was setting an amount that avoided a tax rate increase. Our bond tax rate decreased 12 cents this year from 92 cents down to 80 cents. If this $70 million bond passes in November, the tax rate will not go above 80 cents and will carry an average tax rate of 63 cents. Another section of the voter information pamphlet is the planned project categories by budget amount. These broad categories include renovations of existing buildings, construction or improvements of administrative facilities, new school construction in addition to existing schools, grounds and site improvements, renovations for existing schools, and pupil transportation. We will have only one category for the entire $70 million bond, and that will be new school construction in additions to existing schools. Our projected growth qualifies the district for 3 new school construction grants through the State of Arizona's School Facilities Division. These grants are awarded based on an outdated and underfunded construction cost index formula that uses a dollar amount per square foot of the awarded project. A separate land acquisition grant is available. If districts are able to use donated land, the SFD will give a grant equal to 20% of the value of the donated site to be used towards construction. This table shows the SFD new school construction cost index compared to the estimated industry cost to construct a new school. I'll be using these costs per square foot to calculate the projects on the next few slides. These are the 4 projects we plan to fund with the $70 million bond. They're in order of planned timeline for completion: a new 6-8 school, additional instructional space at Maricopa High School, a new K-5 school, and additional 9-12 instructional space. So let's look at project number 1. Project number 1 is the new 6-8 school recently awarded by the SFD. We're already in the early phase of this 2-year project, which will open in July of 2026. The SFD award is for 96,670 square feet. The upper right box shows the estimated industry cost at just under $44 million. Below shows the SFD grant formula plus an estimated $500,000 addition for using the Sorrento site donation, with an SFD total grant amount of $31.5 million. In the box to the bottom left, we estimate just under $12.5 million needed to bridge the gap between the SFD grant and the actual cost of the project. Project 2 is additional space at Maricopa High School, centering around career and technical education, college prep, and workforce development. This is not an SFD project, and the estimated cost is $20.5 million. Project 3 is the new K-5 school held for consideration by the SFD. We anticipate the grant in July of 2026 to successfully open the school in July of 2028. The SFD award is for 72,000 square feet. We plan to supplement the awarded project with an additional 24,670 square feet to expand the school kindergarten through 8th grade. The additional square footage would be covered by the bond. The box to the upper right shows the estimated industry cost of the full planned square footage at just under $44 million. Below shows the SFD grant formula for the 72,000 square feet, plus an estimated $500,000 addition for using a future site donation, with an SFD total grant amount of $23 million. In the box to the bottom left, we estimate just under $21 million needed to bridge the gap between the SFD grant and the actual cost of the project. Project number 4 is an SFD grant to add 912 instructional space. The project is currently held for consideration by the SFD. We anticipate the grant in July of 2026 to successfully open additional instructional space in July of 2028. The SFD award is for 125,000 square feet. To the upper right shows an industry estimated cost of just under $56.9 million. And below shows the SFD grant of $41.7 million. And to the bottom left, we estimate just over $15.1 million needed to bridge the gap between the SFD and the actual cost of the project. To review the bond expenditure plan, we're focusing on 4 big projects to address the rapid enrollment growth in Maricopa. Constructing 2 new schools serving students between kindergarten and 8th grade, expanding high school facilities for career and technical education, college prep, and workforce development, adding classroom space to existing schools, and not increasing the tax rate. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, who's going first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have 2 questions, 2 main questions. That was a lot of information. On your, I think, second or third slide where it was highlighted in red, our the bond listing of categories. Yes. Do we know, does it show up like that? Or does it just list them and then it says which one we're going for? My concern is, obviously, if I'm reading that ballot right and there's a bunch of stuff on the one side.
So I'll answer in 2 parts. This is the voter information pamphlet, and it will show just what our projects are. I listed all the statutory categories that are allowed. On our voter information pamphlet, it will just show new school construction and additional space.
Okay, it won't list all of that.
And it'll show how much money we've aligned to that. And since we're doing
Okay.
1 category, it's very simple. On the ballot questions, it'll show all the categories because that is required by statute. So the bond, on the ballot question, it'll show all of these categories, but it won't show necessarily what we're doing. It'll just say, bonds for these categories.
Okay.
And that we cannot change that. But in the
Okay.
voter information pamphlet, it's very clear on what we intend to use the bond funds for.
Okay. And then my second question is the difference between the estimated industry costs versus the SFD grant. What will we get using that money for the difference? So if we were to just build a school for SFD versus building a school to industry standards.
So using Desert Sunrise as an example, we started with just the SFD grant, and then as we got further into design, we were given, here's some considerations. All cafeteria space being outdoor, that fits in the grant, but if you want indoor cafeteria space, it might cost X. The market's even more difficult, so we might make decisions. We can't have carpet, we might not be able to have drywall, we might have to have a building structure that's not ideal, like not masonry, maybe not even metal, maybe it's stick and stucco. So it'll be a challenge for the contractor to give us a guaranteed maximum price at the dollar amount, but their goal is how do we build the square footage that's required at whatever the budget amount is, and these are the considerations. These are what are being eliminated that are maybe industry norms.
Okay,
So there's a lot to that question, but those are some examples.
okay. It's my first time. So, thank you.
It's my second.
Thank you, Jacob.
And just real quick, Mr. Harmon, I think we have exposure to schools in the Phoenix metropolitan area that are basically being built with no drywall and no carpets and no reasonable facilities because it's based on totally what the state is providing and they don't have any additional funding.
I don't think any schools have been built that way, but currently Queen Creek is struggling building a school with the minimum guidelines, and we're hearing about some significant cuts.
I wasn't looking
to
to call out Queen Creek specifically.
I probably shouldn't have.
Okay, so here's my, I mean, obviously, we need the bond in order to provide a first-class education for our students, which I think our families deserve. If we wait for SFD to give us the little trickle of money that they're going to give us, it will postpone our schools. It will postpone updating the Maricopa High School with the workforce development classroom, correct? I mean, everything will be pushed back by a couple years because they're saying we don't need any space until like 2028 or something. So, but we're crowded now. So without this bond, we would be pushing all of our crowded classrooms even more crowded. Is that correct?
For the workforce development building, that additional square footage falls within our allowance and helps with this delay in funding.
Right.
So bringing in things like portable classrooms helps us bridge the gap on when the state decides to fund us and when we really need it. It's usually a couple years behind.
Right.
So that additional square footage helps us have a place to put kids while we're waiting for funding because our enrollment increases. The rest of the projects, we will need to build at the timeline. It'll just be at the budget that the state gives, and
Right.
we'll have whatever restrictions that funding allows.
That's my point. The timeline that we would like is what you just presented. Yeah. It's not the same timeline the state presents, correct?
The grants that I showed are on the state's timeline.
Okay.
Pending our projections continue.
Okay.
Well, and I think the best example of that, Member Anderson, you're correct, is the portables we have all
Correct.
across our elementary schools.
Correct.
We have to have those portables because we have a class size targets that we choose because
Correct.
we think they're the best for our students and for our teachers. But the SFB says, well, you could fit this many kids in the school you have, and so we're not going to give you more
Correct.
space, money for more space. And so we had to put portables up
Right.
so that we could maintain our class sizes. So I think that's the answer is we already are
Crowded.
we're crowded for what we choose to be the best education for our students.
Correct.
Certainly if we wanted to cram 35 kids in every classroom, we wouldn't have to bond. We could go along the SFB timeline because that's how they see it in terms of square footage per students, but we choose to give our students a better experience and our teachers a better experience.
Exactly.
So that's a really good point.
Well, but the other part of that is even if we waited and went with SFD's timeline, it's still $100 a square foot short of completing a school. That scares me because I've seen what the state says schools should be like, and it's ridiculous. That would be no technology. It would be bare bones building.
Well, and there's no guarantee and even with passing a bond, we don't know what construction costs are going to be
increase
2 years from now, 4 years from now. The bond will actually help us get that project started at MHS because in 4 years, we may need that additional space at Desert Sunrise as well. At the rate that these houses are being built and families are moving in, we need to have this. And there could be a miracle at the Capitol and we could get more money from SFD. So, I'm still going to
Positive thought.
pray.
You
Right.
go ahead with that positive thought. We'll go with that.
One of my question, Mr. Harmon, is because I think that, I think people out there could say, well, if they give you 30 million, then just build a smaller school, but make it nicer. But can we do that?
We cannot.
We cannot do
If
that.
we are given a grant based on a required square footage, we're required to build that amount of square feet.
Right.
We can't build a lesser square footage at a higher rate per
We
square
are not allowed to do that.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I do definitely like the fact that we have narrowed this down to 4 projects.
Yes.
It's all about building facilities for our students and staff. And then the community's going to have that opportunity to choose to invest into our schools. And I hope that they will, because we're not raising taxes, and we're going to be able to keep that standard, keep our class sizes where they need to be with the community support. So thank you for keeping this very simplified. I think that's going to help when we're out there presenting this message to the community.
Again, I'm just going to say ditto, ditto, ditto. What Vice President Cottret said. I mean, it's great presentation, simple. It's
Yeah.
focused on academics in essence. And I think that's where we as a board were trying to direct the team and therefore the money and the bond towards academics for the community at large.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening to us. I know I was pretty adamant when we talked about it before, so thank you. I just want to make sure, and there's probably no way to guarantee this, but if for some reason, in 2 years we're not here, is this going to be on paper and in contract so that another admin can't come through and use that money for something else?
Well,
It's not on the list.
You can stay on the board for another 4
yeah,
years.
exactly. Right.
All right, I know, that was like a stab in the heart, okay. But I'm just going on historically.
Yeah.
We have done a fantastic job with this administration and this board and our staff and parents to maintaining and doing what we say we're gonna do. We've stuck with it. So we've proven that we can be trusted.
And we started that, though, in a
I know.
previous administration. So I
Correct.
think that.
But I'm just going on former bonds
Fair enough.
that were passed 20 years ago, and the money was not used for what it was supposed to be used for. And that's one reason the community has a really hard time swallowing that. So while we have done, I think, a fantastic job managing our money, thank you to your department, and I think that this is a great, solid plan. I just want to make sure that in 5 years, we're still sticking to this plan.
There's a couple of factors that come into play that we don't control, and that's if these costs change,
Correct.
we may fall short
Yeah,
and not be able to do as
Do one of
much
them.
square footage at Maricopa High School because at the elementary school, we needed to spend more money there is some space for modifications as those factors surface. I think that and then what if, like Ms. Coutret said, what if something happened in reverse?
right.
There is some discretionary room within this, but I think in essence, we have clarity on how to start, and I think it's solid.
Okay. No, that's what I wanted that
Yeah.
assurance,
Yep.
and I want the public to know that,
Yeah.
our kids come first, our staff comes first. So I like the plan. I'm happy with the way you've organized it. And without raising taxes, I think it's a solid plan.
Yeah.
So, now I need you to go register to vote if you're not registered to vote, parents.
And we will have a committee, a bond committee.
Okay.
That's a requirement.
Right.
And it wouldn't hurt to have a plan that's maybe more formally approved,
Yeah.
and then the committee will evaluate. We might have more money after one project that might
Correct,
also
to use
change the
for-
plan. So we can have a set plan, and then as things change, then we can reconvene something to the governing board on the other.
But these are still our priorities as a district. We know this is where our square footage is going to be needed based on our projections. Okay. All right, I'm happy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harmon. When I move on to item 6, consent agenda, and since there's a change, I'll propose a motion. I propose that we accept the consent agenda with item 6D, move to action items.
I'll second.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second.
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor.
Aye.
Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Cotray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. We now move on to item 7, action items, specifically 6D, approve the intergovernmental agreement between City of Maricopa and Maricopa Unified School District for joint use of facilities. It's Mr. Harmon, and the reason why we're moving this to action item is because member Noor is actually on the City Council and as such needs to be recused from this discussion, this item.
For the vote.
Thank you, President Downey, governing board members. You have an action item, one item in front of you for an intergovernmental agreement between the district and the City of Maricopa for joint use of facilities. I'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for working on this and getting this done. I know that our facility usage, we're still working on trying to adjust that, and so I liked the wording of the IGA, not to pigeonhole us into a certain dollar amount and give us the flexibility to continue to change. And I know that we have to be good stewards and share our facilities since they have a pool and a beach volleyball and extra tennis courts that we don't have. So if there's no other questions, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the IGA.
I'll second.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second.
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor. Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Cotray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. We now move on to item 7A, discussion and possible approval of the personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett.
Thank you, President Downey, members of the governing board. You have the personnel schedule in front of you tonight. I'll take any questions that you have.
Mr. Beckett, how many teaching positions do we have unfilled as of today?
Member Cotray, to the best of my knowledge, I think we're down to maybe 1 or 2, potentially. Again, we have some people that are still en route to us from far-off lands, and so we're hoping to have them here shortly, but we did have a teacher in each classroom today.
Congratulations. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
So if there's no questions, I'd make a motion to approve the HR schedule as presented.
Second.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second.
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor.
Aye.
Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Cotray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. We now move on to items. Thank you, Mr. Beckett. Now move on to item 7B, discussion and possible approval of the above the threshold amount for the purchase and installation of bleachers at Desert Sunrise High School. Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, President Downey and members of the board. You have an action item in front of you for an above the threshold and approval of a contract with Norcon Industries to expand the bleachers at Desert Sunrise High School in anticipation for graduation. Take any questions you may have.
Mr. Harmon, how many people are going to fit on the stands once we expand it?
It should get us to 2,500 seats, which is as big a capacity as we could get at that field without, that's really all that we can do since this is a master plan as a practice field. So it gets us from, I think, about 850 seats where we're currently built out to 2,500 seats.
So we'll have 2,500 guests that can attend. Okay.
So yeah, compared to about the 4,000 seats we have in Maricopa High School.
Plan B, Mr. Verdugo.
If there's no other questions, I'd like to motion to approve the bleachers for
I'll second.
Desert Sunrise.
I'll second that.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second.
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor.
Aye.
Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Cotray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. We now move on to item 7D, discussion and possible approval of administrative recommended site for 6th, 8th grade new school construction. Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, President Downey and members of the board. We have an item to approve the Sorrento school site donation for our school project. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Mr. Harmon, I know that there was a news story on the social media, and a lot of people got on there and started commenting already about traffic plans. And I know that this is so early in the stage, we don't really know, but just for those that are watching out there, please know that when we get to this point, we are going to look at the best possible traffic patterns with the least impact on the surrounding neighborhoods. So I know we're looking at options now, but we just don't have them available. But please know we are working on that because we do realize what that can do to a neighborhood.
Well said.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, we approve.
Sorry, can I just make a
Oh,
comment?
yeah, sure.
Make a comment? I just want to take this opportunity to recognize the extra effort that's been put in by the community, because we had people participating from the community and the district resources in actually various projects over the last 6 months, big projects. Obviously, we're speaking to the Land Selection Committee. They did site visits in their own personal time. They had meetings in their own personal time to discuss and evaluate each of the 3 sites that we had. So a lot of time and effort. And of course, Dr. Lopman, Mr. Harmon, and the other teams you participated in as well. But there's also some other stuff that we did in the last couple of months. For example, the board put a lot of extra time and extra meetings and some very late night meetings into topics such as reviewing and approving the new MUSD policies, which allows us to, well, it's an update and a refresh of our policies, but also allowed us to leave ASBA. The 5-8-year investment plan, where although you presented 5 years, I believe we actually went 8 years, maybe 9 years out, looking at the plan. Again, a lot of time and effort, plus the upgrades and renovations to current schools. Again, a lot of discussion. And options for funding. We didn't go directly and immediately to $70 million bond. There was a lot of discussion about how do we fund this that's best for the community at large. And as you said several times, not making sure we don't impact the tax rate. That was a big key thing that we didn't want to do. And then, of course, ending up with the bond. I want to thank the board members in particular for their professionalism, the expertise that they brought to the table, and their willingness to invest their time for the current students and again for the future students that we're going to get over the next, whatever, let's say the plan, the 8-year, 10-year plan that we outlined. So I just want to, at this point, take the opportunity to just thank everybody, especially the board here, for investing a lot of time on these issues over the last 4 to 6 months. So thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome. I have a comment too.
Yeah, thank you, President Downey. That was a really great point, and I think it's important to note for folks in the audience or folks who are on Facebook commenting on articles about the land selection that there was a community committee made up of community members and staff members that looked at all of the sites that were potentials and made a recommendation, which is what they felt was the best location for the new school. And so if you have an opinion about that, or you think that you could have made a better selection, please feel free to email Dr. Lopman so you can be on the next committee. You can be on the next committee because we have committees. And you know, that's how I got on this board. I had some opinions about budget cuts, and I attended meetings, and then I ended up on the board. And so be careful what you wish for. But if you want to be involved, there's certainly plenty of room to be involved in MUSD and to help us impact the lives of the students and make these important decisions. So,
Well said.
yes.
Okay. So I just want to publicly state why I like this site. First of all, it's a donation. That's a big plus. So thank you. But the next, what I think makes it very attractive is it's next to their park. And I taught in a school that was next to a park, and it was actually a K-8 school. And it was extremely helpful because we could have a smaller footprint as a district, as a school site, but our students were able to use the playground in the area for the public park. So it gave us some additional space where we shared maintenance, we shared, you know, and we still had the gates, we still had security so that people could not walk onto our campuses from the park. So I just want people to understand that it can be done. But I thoroughly enjoyed teaching at that school that was able to share a public space with community because it really did create more of a community. And I think that it was very helpful. So I'm excited to see that trend. If we can continue that for future sites, I think it would be extremely helpful. So I just wanted to state why I think this site that I I think it's a great idea.
Okay, I made the motion, so.
Second.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second?
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor.
Aye.
Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Cotray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. We now move on to item 8, specific 8A, adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Lisa, we have a motion and a second?
Carolyn Lopez.
Aye.
Anna Marie Noor.
Aye.
Tori Anderson.
Aye.
Patty Cotray.
Aye.
Robert Downey.
Aye, so moved. Thank you. We're now adjourned.
Okay, nice job. What?
What's this?